The night air in Eldora was thick with the rhythm of drums, the scent of grilled suya, and the vibrant hum of the annual Moonlight Festival. The city's central square, framed by towering palm trees and neon-lit skyscrapers, pulsed with life. Men in colorful agbatas and women in flowing Ankara dresses twirled under strings of fairy lights, their laughter mingling with the melodies of a live high-life band. The festival was Eldora's heartbeat, a celebration of culture where the rich and poor danced as one, and tonight, all eyes were on Ethan Cole and Sophia Grant. Ethan, at 28, stood tall in a tailored navy suit, his warm brown eyes sparkling with adoration as he spun Sophia across the dance floor. His short, curly hair caught the glow of the lanterns, and his easy smile made him the darling of the crowd. Sophia, 26, was a vision in a shimmering red dress that hugged her slender frame, her braided hair adorned with gold beads that clinked softly as she moved. Her laughter was infectious, her grace unmatched, and together, they were Eldora's golden couple. Their love a story whispered in markets and trending on social media with hashtags like #EthanandSophia. As the band struck up a slower tune, Ethan pulled Sophia close, his hands gentle on her waist. "You're stealing the show tonight," he teased, his voice low and warm. Sophia grinned, her eyes glinting with mischief. "Only because I'm dancing with you, Mr. Cole." She leaned in, her breath tickling his ear. "You make me feel like I'm flying." The crowd parted as Ethan led her to a small stage at the edge of the square, where a canvas draped in velvet waited. He signaled to the band, who paused, drawing curious murmurs from the onlookers. With a flourish, Ethan unveiled a painting, a vibrant depiction of Sophia laughing under a baobab tree, her eyes alive with joy. The crowd gasped, then erupted in applause. "For you," Ethan said, turning to Sophia, his voice thick with emotion. "You inspired every stroke. This is us forever." Sophia's hand flew to her chest, tears shimmering in her eyes. "Ethan, it's beautiful," she whispered, stepping forward to trace the canvas. "I don't deserve this." "You deserve the world," he replied, pulling her into a kiss that sent the crowd into cheers. Phones flashed, capturing the moment, and #EthanPaintsLove began trending on Eldora's social media feeds. But the magic shattered in an instant. Sophia swayed, her face paling, and before Ethan could catch her, she collapsed onto the stage, her red dress pooling like spilled wine. The crowd's cheers turned to gasps, and Ethan dropped to his knees beside her, his heart pounding. "Sophia! Sophia, wake up!" he cried, cradling her face. Her eyelids fluttered, but she was limp, her breathing shallow. The festival's music stopped, and a medic pushed through the crowd, barking orders. Ethan's world blurred as Sophia was lifted onto a stretcher, her hand slipping from his. At Eldora General Hospital, the sterile white walls felt like a prison. Ethan paced the waiting room, his suit jacket discarded, his tie loosened. His best friend, Lila Brooks, a nurse with kind hazel eyes and a practical bob, sat beside him, her scrubs wrinkled from a long shift. "She's going to be okay, Ethan," Lila said softly, placing a hand on his arm. "The doctors are the best here." Ethan ran a hand through his hair, his voice breaking. "She was fine, Lila. We were dancing, laughing. How did this happen?" Before Lila could respond, Dr. Harris, a gray-haired physician, approached, his expression grim. "Mr. Cole, we've run tests on Ms. Grant. I'm afraid it's serious. She has leukemia, acute myeloid leukemia. It's advanced." Ethan's knees buckled and Lila steadied him. "Leukemia," he whispered. "But she's so young. There's a treatment, right? Something we can do." Dr. Harris sighed. "There's an experimental treatment at a facility in Switzerland. It's shown promise, but it's costly, several $1,000,000, and not guaranteed. Without it, her prognosis is months, maybe less." Ethan's world tilted. "I'll pay for it. Whatever it takes." Lila frowned, her voice gentle but firm. "Ethan, that's a lot of money, even for you. Have you talked to your dad?" Ethan's jaw tightened at the mention of his father, Richard Cole, the billionaire tycoon who built the Cole empire on tech and real estate. Richard was a man of iron will, and his disapproval of Sophia was no secret. "He'll have to understand," Ethan said, though doubt gnawed at him. The next day, Ethan drove to the Cole family mansion, a sprawling estate on Eldora's cliffs, its white walls and stained glass windows a symbol of the city's heritage. Built by Ethan's grandfather, it housed artifacts of Eldora's history and was a point of pride for the community. Inside, Richard sat in his study, surrounded by mahogany shelves and framed awards, his silver hair gleaming under the chandelier. "Dad, I need your help," Ethan began, standing stiffly. Sophia's sick. Leukemia. There's a treatment in Switzerland, but it's expensive. I need access to the family funds. Richard's eyes narrowed, his voice cold. Sophia Grant? The artist who's been hanging on to you for years? She's after our money, Ethan. Always has been. Ethan's fists clenched. This isn't about money. She's dying, Dad. I love her. Richard stood, his presence commanding. Love? You're blind, son. She's a gold digger, and you're throwing away your future. The Cole legacy, our name, this mansion, means more than some fleeting romance. I won't fund this. Ethan's voice rose, trembling with anger. You'd let her die because of your pride? I thought you were better than that. Richard's face hardened. You want to save her? Do it without my money. But don't expect me to clean up your mess. Ethan stormed out, the slam of the study door echoing through the mansion. Outside, he leaned against his car, the ocean breeze doing little to cool his rage. His phone buzzed with notifications. Clips of Sophia's collapse at the festival were already viral, with comments speculating about her health and their relationship. Hashtag Ethan and Sophia was now tinged with pity and curiosity. Back at the hospital, Ethan sat by Sophia's bedside, her hand cold in his. She was awake but weak, her eyes sunken. Ethan, she murmured, you don't have to stay. It's too much. He squeezed her hand, his voice fierce. I'm not going anywhere. I'll find a way to get you that treatment. I promise. Lila, checking Sophia's chart, overheard and pulled Ethan aside. You're sure about this? She asked, her brow furrowed. Your dad's not wrong about the cost. It could ruin you. Ethan's eyes burned with determination. She's worth it, Lila. I'd sell my soul to see her smile again. That night, alone in his apartment, Ethan made a decision that would shake Eldora to its core. The Cole mansion, worth $50 million, was his inheritance, legally his to sell. It was more than enough to cover Sophia's treatment and any future care. But selling it meant betraying his father and the city that revered the estate as a cultural landmark. The next morning, Ethan met with a real estate agent, Ms. Clara Evans, in a sleek downtown office. Clara, a sharp woman in her 40s, raised an eyebrow as she reviewed the paperwork. The Cole mansion? Ethan, this is huge. The city will lose its mind. Are you sure? Ethan nodded, his voice steady but heavy. I don't have a choice. Sophia needs this. Clara hesitated, then sighed. Okay, but brace yourself. This won't be quiet. She was right. Within hours of listing the mansion, news spread like wildfire. Eldora's radio stations buzzed with debates, and social media exploded with hashtag Ethan Sells Legacy. Some called him a romantic hero, others a reckless fool. At the city's central market, vendors whispered about the mansion's sacred artifacts, while drummers at a local shrine played mournful beats, as if grieving the loss of their heritage. Ethan avoided the noise, focusing on Sophia. He visited her daily, bringing sketches to cheer her up. When you're better, he said one afternoon, sitting by her bed, we'll travel. Paris, maybe. You can paint the Seine. Sophia smiled weakly, her voice soft. You're too good to me, Ethan. I don't know how I'll ever repay you. You don't have to, he said, kissing her forehead. Just get better. The sale moved quickly. A foreign investor offered $52 million, and Ethan signed the papers in a daze, the weight of his choice settling in. Richard called him that evening, his voice thunderous through the phone. You sold our legacy? For her? You're no son of mine, Ethan. Don't come crawling back when she leaves you. Ethan hung up, tears stinging his eyes. He drove to the mansion one last time, walking its empty halls. The stained glass windows cast colorful shadows, and he traced the carvings on the staircase, memories of his childhood flooding back. I'm sorry, he whispered, as if the house could hear him. The money was wired to the Swiss facility, and Sophia was flown out for treatment. Ethan stayed in Eldora, moving into a small apartment, his wealth drained. He ignored the hateful comments online. Hashtag Fool for Love trending alongside cruel memes. Lila visited often, bringing takeout and her quiet strength. One night, as they sat on his couch, she spoke up. You gave up everything, Ethan, she said, her voice gentle. I hope she knows what that means. Ethan stared at his hands, the amulet Mom Nkechi had given him years ago dangling from his wrist. She's worth it, he repeated, but his voice wavered, as if trying to convince himself. In Eldora, the festival's joy had faded. The mansion's new owner planned to turn it into a luxury hotel, sparking protests outside its gates. Ethan avoided the news, his heart tethered to Sophia's recovery. He didn't know that across the ocean, Sophia was already dreaming of a new life, one that might not include him. In the days following Ethan Cole's decision to sell the Cole family mansion, Eldora was a city divided. The $52 million sale to a foreign investor, meant to fund Sophia Grant's life-saving leukemia treatment in Switzerland, had severed ties with his father, Richard Cole, and ignited a firestorm of controversy. The mansion, a cliffside estate with white walls and stained glass windows, was more than a home. It was Eldora's soul, a repository of cultural artifacts and a symbol of the city's resilience. Its loss was a wound felt by all, and Ethan, once the city's golden heir, became a lightning rod for love and loathing. The morning after signing the sale papers, Ethan woke to a flood of notifications on his phone. His social media feeds were ablaze with #EthanSellsLegacy, a hashtag that captured both admiration and scorn. Comments ranged from, "He's a hero for love," to "How dare he betray Eldora's heritage." Viral videos showed protesters outside the mansion's gates, holding signs that read, "Save our legacy," and chanting for its return. A local influencer at Eldora Vibes posted a tearful reel. "The Cole Mansion isn't just bricks, it's our history." Ethan, why? The post racked up millions of views, amplifying the outrage. Ethan sat at his small apartment's kitchen table, the weight of the city's anger pressing on him. His once lavish life as the heir to the Cole empire was gone, replaced by a modest space with peeling paint and a single window overlooking Eldora's bustling streets. He scrolled through the comments, his heart sinking. "They don't understand," he muttered, tossing his phone aside. "I had to save her." A knock at the door startled him. It was Lila Brooks, his childhood friend and a nurse at Eldora General Hospital, her hazel eyes soft with concern. She carried a paper bag of jollof rice and plantains, her attempt to cheer him up. "You look like you haven't slept," she said, setting the food down. "Have you seen what's happening out there?" Ethan rubbed his eyes, his voice heavy. "Yeah. Everyone hates me. #EthanSellsLegacy, right? They think I'm some spoiled rich kid who doesn't care." Lila sat across from him, her scrubs wrinkled from a double shift. "Not everyone. Some people think what you're doing for Sophia is beautiful. But it's a lot, Ethan. The mansion was special to Eldora. And your dad." "Don't." Ethan cut her off, his jaw tightening. He made his choice. The memory of his confrontation with Richard Cole was raw. It had happened in the mansion's study, a room of dark wood and towering bookshelves, where Richard's presence filled the space like a storm. Ethan had pleaded for funds to cover Sophia's experimental treatment, but Richard's response was ice cold. "She's a gold digger, Ethan," Richard had said, standing behind his desk, his silver hair catching the chandelier's light. "You're throwing away our legacy for a woman who'll bleed you dry." Ethan's fists had clenched, his voice shaking. "She's dying, Dad. I love her. Doesn't that mean anything to you?" Richard's eyes had narrowed. "Love fades. Legacy lasts. If you sell that mansion, you're no son of mine." The words had cut deeper than Ethan expected. He'd stormed out, the slam of the study door echoing through the mansion's halls. Now, Richard's disownment was public knowledge, leaked to Eldora's gossip blogs and fueling the social media frenzy. A trending post on X read, "Billionaire Richard Cole cuts off son Ethan over mansion sale. #family drama #EthanSellsLegacy." Commenters speculated wildly, some pitying Ethan, others calling him ungrateful. Lila's voice pulled Ethan back to the present. "You can't ignore this forever," she said gently. "The city's hurting. Maybe if you explained why you did it." "They won't listen," Ethan said, standing to pace the room. "Sophia's fighting for her life, and all they care about is a house. I'd sell my soul to see her smile again, Lila. Don't they get that?" Lila's expression softened, but worry lingered in her eyes. "I know you love her. Just be careful, okay? You've given up so much." Ethan nodded, but his heart was with Sophia, now in Switzerland, undergoing the treatment that could save her. He pictured her smile, the way her gold-beaded braids shimmered at the Moonlight Festival, and it steeled his resolve. The backlash, the disownment, none of it mattered if she lived. Outside, Eldora mourned in its own way. At the city's sacred grove, a clearing nestled among ancient baobab trees, traditional drummers gathered at dusk. Their leader, Baba Tund, a wiry elder with a white beard, struck his gem with reverence, the deep thrum echoing through the forest. The drummers, dressed in indigo robes, played a slow, mournful rhythm, their faces etched with grief. The grove was a place of spiritual connection, where Eldora's people honored their ancestors, and tonight, they grieved the mansion's loss. A small crowd had gathered, including market women, artisans, and youth clutching candles. Among them was Amina, a young weaver whose family had crafted tapestries for the mansion decades ago. She spoke to a local reporter, her voice trembling. "That house held our stories, our dances, our songs. My grandmother's hands wove its curtains. Now it's gone, all for money." The reporter, a sharp-eyed woman from Eldora News, recorded the scene, her camera panning to the drummers. "The sale of the Cole mansion has struck a chord," she said into her microphone. "For many, it's not just a building, it's Eldora's heritage. And Ethan Cole, once a beloved son, is now at the center of this heartbreak." The broadcast aired that night, juxtaposing the drummers' solemn beats with archival footage of the mansion's grand opening, when Ethan's grandfather had welcomed the city to celebrate its beauty. Social media amplified the story, with hashtag #SaveOurLegacy trending alongside hashtag EthanSellsLegacy. A viral thread on X detailed the mansion's history. Its artifacts from Eldora's pre-colonial era, its role as a community hub during festivals, its gardens where children played. "Ethan sold more than a house," one user wrote. "He sold our identity." At the city's central market, the mood was tense. Vendors debated over steaming pots of egusi soup, their voices rising. "He did it for love," said Mama Rose, a fish seller with a booming laugh. "My son would do the same for his wife." "Love?" scoffed Kofi, a bead merchant. "He's a rich boy who doesn't know our struggle. That mansion was ours, not just his." A group of teenagers nearby filmed the argument on their phones, posting it with captions like, "Eldora's divided," hashtag EthanSellsLegacy. The clip spread, drawing comments from across the continent. "He's a fool for love. He betrayed his people. I'd do anything for my partner too." Ethan tried to shield himself from the noise, but it seeped in. At a corner store buying bread, he overheard whispers. "That's him," a cashier muttered. "The one who sold the mansion." Ethan kept his head down, but the sting lingered. He drove to the cliffs overlooking the ocean, where the mansion's silhouette once dominated the skyline. Now its gates were locked, a sold sign glaring under the moonlight. He leaned against his car, the amulet from Mom and Ketchy, a carved wooden pendant, dangling from his wrist. "Was it worth it?" he whispered, the waves crashing below. He thought of Sophia's collapse at the festival, her red dress pooling on the stage, and his resolve hardened. "It has to be." Back at the sacred grove, the drummers played on, their rhythm a prayer for healing. Not just for the city, but for Ethan, whom many still saw as one of their own. Baba Tund addressed the crowd, his voice carrying over the drums. "The mansion is gone, but our spirit lives. We mourn, but we forgive." Young Ethan acts from the heart. "Let us not judge too harshly." His words were recorded, shared online, and sparked a new hashtag. Hashtag Forgive Ethan. Some embraced it, posting memories of Ethan's kindness. How he'd funded school supplies for kids, danced at festivals, supported local artists. Others resisted, their anger too deep. The divide made Ethan a polarizing figure, his story a mirror for debates about love, duty, and heritage. Lila, checking on Ethan the next day, found him staring at his phone, a hashtag Forgive Ethan post open. "See," she said, nudging him. "Not everyone's against you. You're still Ethan to them, the guy who lights up a room." Ethan gave a weak smile. "Doesn't feel like it. Dad's gone, the city's mad, and I'm broke. All I've got is Sophia." Lila hesitated, then spoke softly. "You've got me too. And you've got you. Don't forget that." Ethan met her eyes, gratitude flickering through his pain. "Thanks, Lila. I don't know what I'd do without you." As night fell, Eldora's drummers returned to the grove, their rhythm slower now, a lament that carried across the city. At the mansion, protesters lit candles, their glow reflecting off the gates. A viral photo captured the scene. A young girl placing a flower by the sign, her face solemn. The caption read, "For what we lost." Hashtag EthanSellsLegacy. Ethan, alone in his apartment, watched the photo trend, his heart torn between guilt and love. He opened a message from Sophia, a brief update. "Treatment's going well. Miss you." He clung to those words, the only anchor in a storm that showed no sign of fading. In the months following the sale of the Cole family mansion, Eldora's cliffs stood bare, the once iconic estate now a luxury hotel under construction. Ethan Cole, stripped of his wealth and estranged from his father, Richard, had poured every dollar into Sophia Grant's experimental leukemia treatment in Switzerland. The news of her recovery arrived like a sunrise after a long night, a brief message that lit up Ethan's phone. "I'm coming home. I'm okay. Love, Sophia." His heart soared, and he clung to the dream of their future together, a simple life built on love. Ethan had moved into a modest apartment in Eldora's bustling downtown, a far cry from the mansion's grandeur. The one-bedroom space had cracked walls, a noisy ceiling fan, and a single window overlooking a street alive with vendors hawking roasted corn and high-life music blaring from radios. He furnished it with second-hand pieces, a sagging couch, a wobbly table. His only luxury a sketch pad where he drew plans for a life with Sophia. "We'll start fresh," he told himself, tracing her name in the margins. Maybe a small house, a garden for her to paint in. Sophia returned to Eldora on a humid afternoon, her red-eye flight landing at the city's airport where Ethan waited, his heart pounding. She stepped into the arrivals hall, her braided hair loose and her skin glowing with health, a stark contrast to the frail figure he'd last seen. Ethan rushed to her, pulling her into a hug. "You're back," he whispered, his voice thick. "You're really okay." Sophia smiled, but it was fleeting, her eyes darting to the crowd. "I'm better, Ethan. Thanks to you." She squeezed his hand, but her touch felt distant, like a memory he couldn't grasp. They drove to his apartment, the city's neon lights reflecting off the windshield. Ethan chattered nervously, filling the silence. "I know it's not much," he said, gesturing to the building as they parked. "But it's ours for now. We can make it home." Sophia's lips curved, but her gaze lingered on the cracked pavement, the laundry hanging from balconies. "It's cozy," she said, her tone polite but flat. Ethan brushed it off, blaming jet lag, and carried her bag inside. Over the next weeks, Sophia seemed to slip further away. She spent hours at Eldora's art cafes, sketching and networking with the city's creative elite. The vibrant scene, galleries showcasing bold African abstracts, clubs pulsing with Afrobeats, captivated her. Ethan joined her when he could, but his new job as a clerk at a local bookstore left little time. He noticed her phone buzzing constantly, her laughter reserved for texts he didn't see. "Who's that?" he asked one evening, as they ate takeout jollof rice on his couch. "Just friends," Sophia said, tucking her phone away. "People from the art scene. They're helping me get my work out there." Ethan nodded, swallowing his unease. "That's great, sophomore. I'm proud of you." But her eyes, once warm with love, now held a spark he didn't recognize. Ambition, maybe, or something sharper. Enter Mason Reed, a 30-year-old music producer whose name was synonymous with Eldora's nightlife. Mason was slick, with a polished smile, designer suits, and a reputation for turning unknowns into stars. He'd arrived from Lagos, his production company bankrolling Eldora's hottest acts. At a rooftop party Ethan couldn't attend, Mason spotted Sophia performing a spoken-word piece, her voice weaving poetry over a live band's rhythm. He approached her afterward, his charm disarming. "You're a star, Sophia," Mason said, handing her a glass of palm wine. "That voice, that presence, you could be huge. I'm talking record deals, tours the world." Sophia's eyes lit up, her dreams of fame reignited. "You really think so?" she asked, her smile coy. "I know so," Mason replied, leaning closer. "Stick with me, and I'll make it happen." Mason's attention became a whirlwind. He invited Sophia to studio sessions, art openings, and exclusive parties, each event pulling her deeper into Eldora's glamorous orbit. She began missing dinners with Ethan, her excuses vague. "I'm working on something big," she'd say, her phone glowing with Mason's messages. Ethan, sensing her drift, clung to hope. "She's healing," he told Lila Brooks, his nurse friend, over coffee at a market stall. "She needs time." Lila stirred her tea, her hazel eyes skeptical. "Maybe, Ethan. But you deserve someone who sees you. Don't lose yourself waiting." Ethan shook his head, his voice firm. "She's my future, Lila. I gave up everything for her. She'll come back to me." The breaking point came at the Eldora Art Gala, a high-profile event at the city's premier gallery, its glass walls overlooking the ocean. The gala was a magnet for Eldora's elite, politicians, artists, and tycoons mingling amid sculptures and vibrant canvases. Sophia had secured an invite through Mason, her painting, a bold abstract of a woman rising from flames, featured in the show. Ethan, scraping together money for a rented suit, attended to support her, his heart swelling with pride. Inside, the gallery buzzed with laughter and clinking glasses. Sophia, in a gold gown that shimmered under the chandeliers, was the night's star, her recovery and talent the talk of the crowd. Ethan approached her, a smile on his face. "You look amazing," he said, offering her a glass of juice. "Your painting's stealing the show." Sophia's smile was tight, her eyes scanning the room. "Thanks, Ethan," she said, barely meeting his gaze. Before he could say more, Mason appeared, his arms slipping around Sophia's waist. He was all charisma, his white suit crisp, a gold chain glinting at his neck. "Ethan, right?" Mason said, his tone smooth but dismissive. "Good to see you, man." Sophia's about to make some big moves. Ethan's stomach twisted, but he forced a nod. "Yeah, she's incredible." The evening wore on, and Ethan felt like a shadow, watching Sophia laugh with Mason and gallery curators. Then the gallery's curator, a poised woman named Ms. Ada, took the stage to announce the night's highlight: Sophia's speech about her art and recovery. The crowd hushed, phones raised to record. Sophia stepped up, her voice confident. "This painting," she said, gesturing to her canvas, "is about rebirth. I was given a second chance, and I'm here to seize it." She paused, her eyes sweeping the room, landing briefly on Ethan. "I owe my life to someone who believed in me. But sometimes you have to let go of the past to embrace your future." Ethan's heart lifted, thinking she meant him. But then Mason joined her on stage, taking her hand. Sophia turned to him, her smile radiant. "I'm excited to announce my new journey," she said. "Mason Reed is producing my first album, and he's my partner in every way." The crowd gasped, then applauded, but Ethan froze, the world tilting. Whispers rippled through the room, eyes darting to him. A socialite nearby muttered, "Poor guy. She's trading up." Ethan stepped forward, his voice hoarse. "Sophia, what are you saying?" She faced him, her expression cold, the warmth he'd known gone. "Ethan, you were my savior. I'll always be grateful. But I never loved you, not the way you wanted. I stayed because you gave me hope, but now I'm free. I need to live for me." The words hit like a blade, each one carving deeper. Ethan's face crumpled, his eyes glistening under the gallery's lights. "You never loved me?" he whispered, barely audible. Mason stepped between them, his tone patronizing. "Let's keep this civil, man. She's made her choice." The crowd's phones captured every second. Ethan's devastation, Sophia's indifference, Mason's smirk. Clips spread instantly, trending under #HeartbrokenAir. One viral post zoomed in on Ethan's face, captioned, "When you sell your legacy for love, and she leaves you anyway." Comments poured in. "He's broken. She's heartless. #Ethan deserved better." Ethan stumbled out of the gallery, the ocean breeze biting his skin. He leaned against a palm tree, tears streaming down his face. Inside, the gala continued, Sophia's laughter floating through the open doors. His phone buzzed with notifications, but he ignored them, the amulet from Mom and Ketchy heavy on his wrist. "I gave you everything," he whispered to the night. "Everything." Back at his apartment, Lila found him hours later, curled on the couch, the gala's live stream still playing on his phone. She sat beside him, her voice soft. "I saw what happened, Ethan. I'm so sorry." He didn't look at her, his voice hollow. "She never loved me, Lila. I sold the mansion, lost my dad, my name for nothing." Lila touched his shoulder, her eyes fierce. "Not for nothing. You saved her life. That's who you are, someone who loves with everything. She's the one who lost something tonight." Ethan's gaze drifted to the sketchpad, Sophia's name still etched in the margins. He tore the page out, crumpling it in his fist. The city outside buzzed with #HeartbrokenAir, Eldora's elite retweeting the betrayal, some mocking, others pitying. A local radio host mused. Ethan Cole's love was his downfall. Will he rise again? In the gallery, Sophia posed for photos with Mason, her smile triumphant. But in a quiet moment, her eyes lingered on the exit where Ethan had fled, a flicker of something, guilt perhaps, crossing her face before she turned away, the cameras flashing. The night of the Eldora Art Gala left Ethan Cole shattered, the echo of Sophia Grant's words. "You were just a means to an end, Ethan," ringing in his ears like a cruel refrain. The betrayal, witnessed by Eldora's elite and captured on countless phones, had spread like wildfire across social media, branding Ethan with the #HeartbrokenAir. Once the golden heir of the Cole empire, he was now a broken man, his wealth gone, his father's love lost, and his heart betrayed by the woman he'd sacrificed everything to save. In the days that followed, Ethan spiraled into despair, his sense of identity and purpose unraveling. His modest apartment in Eldora's downtown, with its cracked walls and flickering lights, became a cage for his grief. The sketchpad where he'd once drawn dreams of a future with Sophia lay untouched, its pages curling in the humid air. He barely ate, his fridge stocked only with Lila Brooks' leftover takeout. Sleep eluded him, replaced by endless replays of the gala. Sophia's cold eyes, Mason Reed's smug grin, the crowd's whispers. Ethan's only escape was wandering Eldora's streets, seeking solace in the city's pulse. But Eldora, once his home, now felt hostile. The vibrant city, with its bustling markets, neon-lit bars, and palm-lined avenues, had turned on him. As he walked through the central market, the air thick with the scent of grilled suya and ripe mangoes, vendors' glances followed him. "That's him," a fish seller whispered, her voice carrying over the clatter of pots. "The fool who sold his legacy for love." A group of teenagers, lounging by a fabric stall, snickered as Ethan passed. "Hey, heartbroken heir," one called, mimicking Sophia's gala speech. "You were just a means to an end, man." Laughter erupted, and Ethan kept his head down, his hands stuffed in his pockets, the carved amulet from Mama Nkechi digging into his wrist. He wanted to shout back, to explain that he'd saved Sophia's life, but the words stuck in his throat, drowned by shame. At a street corner, a radio blared a talk show, the host's voice sharp. Ethan Cole sold the Cole mansion, a piece of Eldora's soul, for a woman who dumped him. Is he a romantic or a fool? Call in with your thoughts. Ethan quickened his pace, but the words followed him, mirrored by graffiti on a wall. #HeartbrokenHeir, love's biggest loser. Social media was relentless. The gala clip, showing Ethan's devastated face as Sophia declared her lack of love, had gone global, racking up millions of views. Memes flooded X, one superimposing Ethan's tearful expression over a clown emoji captioned, "When you sell your legacy and get dumped anyway." #HeartbrokenHeir. Another showed Sophia and Mason laughing, with text reading, "She got the treatment, he got the trauma." Think pieces analyzed the betrayal, one viral article titled "Love or Leverage." The fall of Ethan Cole arguing, "Ethan's sacrifice was noble, but was Sophia ever worth it?" Comments ranged from sympathy, "He gave everything for her, poor guy," to scorn, "He's a rich kid who learned the hard way." The debates sparked online arguments about love, loyalty, and sacrifice. A popular X thread asked, "Would you sell your family's legacy for someone you love?" Responses were split. "If it's true love, yes," one user wrote, while another countered, "Not if they ditch me like Sophia did." #EthanSellsLegacy. The hashtags #HeartbrokenHeir and #SophiaTheSnake trended worldwide, making Ethan a symbol of heartbreak, his story a cautionary tale shared in group chats and news feeds. Ethan avoided his phone, but the city's judgment was inescapable. One evening, he wandered to the cliffs where the Cole mansion once stood. The estate was now a construction site, scaffolding rising where stained glass windows once gleamed. A sign boasted, "Coming soon, Eldora's premier luxury hotel." Protesters had left flowers and candles by the gates, a memorial to the lost heritage. Ethan knelt by a wilting rose, his fingers tracing its petals. "I thought I was doing the right thing," he whispered, his voice breaking. "I thought she loved me." A passerby, an elderly woman in an Ankara head wrap, recognized him. "You're the Cole boy," she said, her tone sharp. "That house was our pride. How could you?" Ethan opened his mouth to respond, but she walked away, shaking her head. He stayed there until dusk, the ocean's roar a hollow comfort. His only solace was Lila Brooks, the nurse who'd been his friend since childhood. She visited his apartment after her shifts at Eldora General Hospital, her hazel eyes and steady presence a lifeline. One night, finding Ethan staring blankly at a wall, she sat beside him, her scrubs smelling faintly of antiseptic. "You can't keep doing this to yourself," she said, her voice gentle but firm. "You're more than what happened at that gala." Ethan's laugh was bitter. "Am I? The whole city thinks I'm a joke. My dad disowned me, Sophia used me, and I've got nothing left. Who am I, Lila?" She took his hand, her grip warm. "You're Ethan, the guy who'd give up everything to save someone. That's not nothing." She paused, her eyes softening. "You know, I lost my brother to illness a few years ago. Couldn't afford the treatment. I felt like I failed him, like I wasn't enough. But I kept going, because giving up means losing who you are." Ethan looked at her, tears welling. "How do you do it? Keep going when it hurts so much." Lila smiled faintly. "One day at a time. And you've got people who care, Ethan. Like me." He squeezed her hand, gratitude piercing his despair. "I don't deserve you, Lila." "You do," she said simply. And you deserve to find yourself again. Their conversations became a ritual. Over cups of malt drink or plates of pounded yam, Lila shared stories of her struggles. Growing up in Eldora's slums, working double shifts to pay for nursing school, finding purpose in helping others. "Life knocks you down," she told him one evening, as they sat on his balcony, the city's lights twinkling below. "But it's what you build from the pieces that matters." Ethan listened, her words a faint spark in his darkness. But the weight of the city's scorn and his own self-doubt kept him tethered to despair. He wandered Eldora's streets daily, blending into the crowds, his once confident stride now hesitant. At a local bar, a group of men playing drafts jeered as he passed. "Hey, it's the guy who sold his soul for nothing," one shouted, prompting laughter. Ethan ducked into an alley, his chest tight, the amulet on his wrist feeling heavier than ever. The viral fallout from the gala grew louder. A local filmmaker posted a montage of Ethan's fall. Clips of him dancing with Sophia at the Moonlight Festival, signing the mansion's sale papers, and finally, his broken expression at the gala. Set to a haunting highlife tune, it garnered millions of views, with captions like "The Cost of Love, Ethan Cole's Story." Commenters debated. Is Sophia a villain or just chasing her dreams? Ethan's too good for her. The video sparked global sympathy, with hashtag Ethan Deserved Better trending alongside hashtag HeartbrokenAir. In Eldora, the betrayal fueled gossip at every corner. At the Central Market, a palm wine seller recounted the gala to customers. She said he was just a means to an end, right in front of everyone. Cold as ice. A nearby drummer, playing a slow rhythm, nodded. The boy loved too hard. That's his curse. One night, Ethan stumbled upon a street vigil near the Sacred Grove, where drummers played for the Lost Mansion. A young girl, holding a candle, met his gaze. "Are you Ethan?" she asked, her voice curious, not cruel. He nodded, bracing for judgment. Instead, she smiled. "My mom says you did it for love." "That's brave." Her words, simple and sincere, cracked something in Ethan, and he walked away before tears fell. Back at his apartment, Lila arrived with a bag of chin-chin and a determined look. "Enough moping," she said, pulling him to his feet. "You're coming with me tomorrow. I'm volunteering at a kids' art class in the slums. They need someone like you, someone who knows how to draw, how to care." Ethan shook his head. "I'm not ready, Lila. I'm nobody now." "You're somebody to me," she said, her voice fierce. "And to those kids, you could be everything. Just try." He met her eyes, the first flicker of hope stirring in his chest. The city's mockery, the viral memes, Sophia's betrayal, they hadn't erased him entirely. Lila's belief, like the amulet's quiet weight, reminded him he was still here, still Ethan. Online, the debates raged on. A think piece titled "The Tragedy of Ethan Cole, Love versus Loyalty" went viral, arguing. Ethan's story asks us, when does sacrifice become self-destruction? The question resonated, shared across continents, making Ethan a global symbol of heartbreak and resilience. As Eldora slept, its streets alive with music and sorrow, Ethan lay awake, Lila's words echoing. "It's what you build from the pieces that matters." Ethan Cole's world had crumbled. The betrayal at the Eldora Art Gala, where Sophia Grant publicly declared him a means to an end, had left him a shell of himself, mocked as the hashtag HeartbrokenAir across social media. Disowned by his billionaire father, Richard, and stripped of his wealth after selling the Cole family mansion to fund Sophia's leukemia treatment, Ethan wandered Eldora's streets, lost in despair. The city's vibrant pulse, its markets, drummers, and ocean breezes, felt like a distant memory, unable to reach the void within him. Yet a faint spark of hope, kindled by Lila Brooks' unwavering support, pushed him toward one last place for answers: Eldora's sacred forest. The forest, a lush sanctuary on the city's outskirts, was a haven of ancient baobab trees, their gnarled branches stretching like guardians over a clearing where fireflies danced. It was here that Mom Nkechi, Eldora's revered healer, held court. Known for her cryptic wisdom and spiritual insight, she was a figure of reverence, her small hut adorned with cowrie shells and woven tapestries. Ethan, his clothes rumpled and his eyes hollow, drove to the forest at dawn, the carved amulet she'd given him years ago, a gift from his childhood visits, clutched in his hand. The path to Mom Nkechi's hut was lined with wildflowers, their scent mingling with the earth's damp richness. As Ethan approached, the distant beat of a drum, slow and reverent, echoed through the trees. Mom Nkechi sat outside, her silver hair wrapped in a turquoise headscarf, her eyes sharp despite her age. She was grinding herbs, her movements deliberate, as if the forest itself moved with her. "Ethan Cole," she said without looking up, her voice warm but firm. "The boy who loved too fiercely. Sit." Ethan sank onto a woven mat, his voice barely a whisper. "Mom and Ketchy, I've lost everything. My dad, my home, Sophia. I don't know who I am anymore." She set her mortar aside, her gaze piercing. "You gave everything for love, child. That is no small thing. But love for another cannot fill the emptiness if you've lost yourself." Ethan's hands trembled, the amulet glinting in the morning light. "I sold the mansion, our legacy, for her. And she didn't even love me. Was it all for nothing?" Mom and Ketchy leaned forward, her eyes softening. "Nothing done for love is wasted. But now, you must find yourself to rise again. The world sees your pain. #heartbrokenair, they call you. But you are more than their stories." She reached into a woven basket, pulling out a new amulet, carved from ebony into the shape of a rising sun, its edges smooth from years of handling. "This is for strength," she said, placing it in his palm. "Not the strength of wealth or name, but of spirit. Rebuild your life, Ethan, not for Sophia, not for your father, but for you." Ethan traced the amulet's curves, his throat tight. "How? I've got nothing left. The city hates me." Mom and Ketchy's smile was knowing. "The city mourns, but it also hopes. Start small. Touch one heart, then another. Your purpose is waiting, but you must walk toward it." He left the forest with her words echoing in his mind, the new amulet hanging beside the old one on his wrist. The encounter felt like a turning point, a quiet call to reclaim his life. Back in his cramped apartment, Ethan sat on his sagging couch, staring at the sketch pad he'd abandoned. For the first time in weeks, he picked up a pencil, sketching a child painting under a baobab tree. The image stirred something, memories of his own childhood, drawing in the mansion's gardens, teaching younger cousins to hold a brush. Lila Brooks, ever his anchor, noticed the change when she visited that evening, bringing a thermos of pepper soup. "You're sketching again," she said, her hazel eyes bright with hope. "That's a good sign." Ethan showed her the drawing, his voice tentative. "Mom and Ketchy said to start small. I was thinking, maybe I could teach kids to draw. Like I used to before everything." Lila's smile widened. "That's perfect, Ethan. The community center in the slums needs volunteers. They've got kids who'd love you. I'm helping out there tomorrow. Come with me." Ethan hesitated, Sophia's betrayal still a raw wound. "What if I fail them too? I'm not who I was." Lila took his hand, her grip steady. "You're enough, Ethan. Those kids don't need a billionaire. They need someone who cares. That's you." The next day, Ethan joined Lila at the Eldora Community Center, a weathered building in the city's poorest district. The slums were a maze of tin-roofed homes and muddy paths, but the center buzzed with life. Children laughing, women weaving baskets, men repairing bikes. Ethan, in a faded t-shirt and jeans, felt out of place, but Lila's presence steadied him. She introduced him to Mrs. Clara, the center's director, a stout woman with a warm laugh. "We could use an art teacher," Mrs. Clara said, eyeing Ethan's sketchpad. "These kids have big dreams, but few ways to show them. Can you help?" Ethan nodded, his voice soft. "I'll try." His first class was chaotic. 20 kids, ages 6 to 14, crowded around a rickety table, their pencils and crayons donated by local vendors. Ethan, nervous, started with a simple task. Draw something that makes you happy. A girl named Joy, with braids tied in bright ribbons, drew a mango tree. "It's outside my house," she said shyly. "I climb it when I'm sad." Ethan knelt beside her, his heart lifting. "That's beautiful, Joy. Want to add some colors to make it pop?" She grinned, grabbing a yellow crayon, and Ethan felt a flicker of purpose, the first in months. Word spread, and the class grew. Ethan poured himself into it, teaching techniques he'd learned as an art student, sharing stories of Eldora's festivals to inspire them. He started a free art program, Colors of Eldora, using donations from local shops to buy supplies. The kids painted murals on the center's walls, scenes of drummers, markets, and baobab trees, transforming the drab building into a canvas of hope. Social media caught wind, with #ColorsOfEldora trending locally as parents shared photos of their kids' work. A post from Mrs. Clara read, "Ethan Cole's giving our kids a voice. #HeartbrokenAir no more. #Eldora rises." Lila joined the program, helping with logistics and cheering the kids on. Her bond with Ethan deepened, their evenings spent planning lessons over plates of fried plantain. One night, as they painted a mural under lantern light, Lila laughed as Ethan smudged blue paint on his cheek. You're a mess, she teased, wiping it off with her thumb. Ethan caught her hand, his heart racing. Lila, you've been here through everything. Why? Her eyes met his, soft but steady. Because you're worth it, Ethan. You always have been. He wanted to lean closer, to let her warmth heal his scars, but Sophia's betrayal flashed in his mind, and he pulled back. I'm not ready, he said quietly. Not yet. Lila nodded, unfazed. I'm not going anywhere. When you're ready, I'll be here. Ethan's work with the kids became his lifeline. He taught them to channel pain into art, sharing his own sketches of loss. A broken heart under a stormy sky. A boy named Kofi, whose father had left, drew a similar image, and Ethan hugged him, whispering, You're stronger than you know. The moment, captured by a parent's phone, went viral under #EldoraRises, with comments praising Ethan's heart. He's turning pain into purpose. The art program grew, drawing attention from Eldora's press. A local TV crew filmed Ethan teaching, his smile genuine as he helped Joy paint a sun like his amulet. The segment, titled From Heartbreak to Hope, aired across the city, sparking posts like, Ethan Cole's redemption is everything. #Colors of Eldora. The kids' murals became a tourist draw, their vibrant colors a testament to Ethan's resilience. One evening, as Ethan and Lila hung a new mural, a child dancing at the Moonlight Festival, he felt the amulet's weight, Mom and Ketchy's words echoing. Find yourself to rise again. He looked at Lila, her laughter mingling with the kids, and realized he was rebuilding, not just for them, but for himself. The scars of Sophia's betrayal lingered, but they no longer defined him. Months after Sophia Grant's public betrayal at the Eldora Art Gala, Ethan Cole had begun to rebuild his life. The #HeartbrokenAir hashtag, once a symbol of his humiliation, had faded, replaced by #EldoraRises as his free art program, Colors of Eldora, brought hope to the city's poorest children. Guided by Mom and Ketchy's wisdom and Lila Brooks' unwavering support, Ethan had rediscovered his purpose, teaching kids in the slums to paint their dreams on the community center's walls. Yet the scars of Sophia's words, "You were just a means to an end, Ethan," lingered, a quiet ache beneath his newfound strength. Meanwhile, Sophia's star had risen in Eldora's glamorous music scene. Under Mason Reed's slick production, her debut single, a soulful Afrobeats track titled Reborn, climbed local charts. Its video, featuring her dancing in gold against Eldora's skyline, amassing millions of views. Social media buzzed with #SophiaShines, praising her voice and resilience. But beneath the glamour, cracks were forming. Mason, with his designer suits and promises of fame, was not what he seemed. The truth broke on a rainy afternoon when a whistleblower, an aspiring artist named Temi, posted a viral exposé on X, titled Mason Reed. The scam behind the shine, it detailed how Mason had swindled dozens of artists, taking their money for production deals that never materialized. Screenshots of fake contracts, bank records, and tearful testimonies flooded the platform, trending under #MasonTheFraud. Eldora's music scene reeled, and Sophia's career, tied to Mason, collapsed overnight. Her single was pulled from streaming platforms, her gigs canceled, and fans turned on her, posting memes of her gala speech with captions like "Karma's here, Sophia." #Sophia the Snake. Desperate and humiliated, Sophia returned to Eldora's downtown, her gold jewelry gone, her confidence shattered. She found Ethan at the community center, where he was teaching a class of kids, painting a mural of a moonlit festival. The room was alive with laughter, crayons scattered across tables, and the walls glowed with vibrant scenes of Eldora's culture: drummers, baobab trees, and ocean waves. Ethan, in a paint-splattered shirt, was helping a boy named Kofi shade a sunset, his smile genuine, the amulets on his wrist glinting. Sophia stood in the doorway, her voice hesitant. "Ethan, can we talk?" The kids glanced up, curious, but Ethan's face hardened. He handed Kofi a brush and stepped outside, the humid air heavy between them. Sophia's eyes were red, her once polished look replaced by a faded dress and messy braids. "I messed up, Ethan," she said, her voice trembling. "Mason lied to me, to everyone. I'm sorry for what I did at the gala. I was wrong. Can you forgive me?" Ethan's heart twisted, memories of their love flashing. Dancing at the Moonlight Festival, her collapse, the mansion he'd sold to save her. But Mom and Ketchy's words echoed. "Find yourself to rise again." He crossed his arms, his voice steady. "You broke me, Sophia. I gave you everything, my home, my family, my heart. And you threw it away." Tears streamed down her face. "I know. I was caught up in the fame, the dream. But I see you now, Ethan. You're good, and I want you back. He shook his head, the amulet's weight grounding him. I'm not your savior anymore, Sophia. I'm building something real here, for me, for these kids. You chose your path. Now I'm choosing mine, self-respect over you. Sophia's shoulders slumped, but Ethan turned back to the center, his rejection final. The moment was witnessed by a parent filming the class, who posted the clip online with the caption, Ethan Cole says no to Sophia's comeback. #Ethan Rises. The video exploded, shared across X and beyond, with comments like King Energy, and he's stronger than ever. #Eldora Rises. Memes juxtaposed Ethan's calm strength with Sophia's tearful plea, and #Ethan Rises trended globally, marking his transformation from heartbreak to empowerment. The art program's success snowballed, drawing national attention. A major TV network, Africa Now, aired a documentary segment titled Colors of Eldora, a story of redemption. It featured Ethan teaching, kids painting murals, and interviews with parents praising his impact. Joy, the girl who'd drawn a mango tree, spoke shyly to the camera. Mr. Ethan makes us feel like we can do anything. The segment went viral, with #Colors of Eldora trending alongside #Ethan Rises, and donations poured in, allowing Ethan to expand the program to other slums. The documentary reached Richard Cole, who watched it in his sleek office, his silver hair catching the light. He disowned Ethan after the mansion's sale, but seeing his son's humility, kneeling beside kids, paint on his hands, stirred something. One evening, Richard arrived unannounced at the community center, his tailored suit out of place amid the murals. Ethan, cleaning brushes, froze when he saw him. "Dad," Ethan said, his voice cautious. "What are you doing here?" Richard's eyes scanned the room, lingering on a mural of the old mansion, reimagined as a vibrant community hub. "I saw the documentary," he said, his tone softer than Ethan remembered. "You've done something real here, son. I was wrong to cut you off. I was angry, but I'm proud of you." Ethan's throat tightened, years of pain surfacing. "You said I wasn't your son." Richard stepped closer, his voice breaking. "I was a fool. The Cole legacy isn't a house. It's you, what you're building. Let me help. Let's rebuild together." Tears welled in Ethan's eyes, but he nodded, extending a hand. "Together, Dad." The reconciliation, witnessed by Lila and a few kids, was filmed by a volunteer and shared online, captioned, "Father and son reunite." #Eldora Rises. The clip, set to a soulful highlife tune, tugged heartstrings with comments like, "This is healing," and "The Coles are back." As Ethan's reputation soared, his bond with Lila deepened. They spent late nights planning the art program, their laughter filling the community center. One evening, under a mango tree outside, Lila handed Ethan a sketch she'd made, a portrait of him teaching, his amulets prominent. "This is you," she said. "The real you." Ethan looked at her, the scars of Sophia's betrayal fading in Lila's warmth. "Lila, you've been my rock. I love you." Her eyes sparkled, a smile breaking free. "Took you long enough, Ethan Cole. I love you too." He pulled her close, their kiss soft under the tree's shade, the amulets glinting. The moment, captured by a passing kid with a phone, went viral under #EldoraLove, with fans gushing. "They're perfect together." The story culminated at the next Moonlight Festival, where Eldora's square pulsed with drums, fairy lights, and dancers in Ankara. Ethan, now at peace, stood where it all began, the night Sophia collapsed, sparking his sacrifice. He wore a simple agbada, the amulets shining on his wrist. Lila, in a flowing green dress, danced beside him, her laughter a melody. The crowd cheered, recognizing Ethan not as the #heartbrokenair, but as the man who'd risen. A viral photo captured them spinning under the stars, captioned, "From heartbreak to hope." #Ethan Rises, #EldoraLove. As the festival's rhythm swelled, Ethan felt the city's embrace, his father's pride, and Lila's love. The amulets, symbols of strength, glinted in the moonlight, a reminder of Mama Nkechi's words. He was no longer the fool who sold his legacy. He was Ethan Cole, rebuilt, whole and home.
Thank you for watching these interesting stories. Please like, subscribe, and turn on your notification bell for more stories.